No problem.
Really happy to have those. Never thought that I could get that done.
You didn't ask the right person.
Hey,
You didn't ask the right people.
I know.
You know, that's all you gotta do in life, is ask the right people.
No, that's what I heard in the news. Like, well, where did the hurricane finally go in?
It's going into New Orleans.
New Orleans.
They're getting-
Oh, it
they're getting
is.
a lot of water.
Okay.
Waters now.
I tried to get some news on it before I left, but I didn't.
Is this the Simon's bunch?
This is us.
Well, come on in.
Hi, how are you?
Ocean, Guadalcanal, Melbourne, the whole program.
Yeah, okay.
Y'all were there together, but somewhere.
Well, I was in the first battalion, you know, first regiment, and
Mhm.
so if he wasn't in there, well, still, there was lots of them, you know. They was second battalion, what company was he in?
I don't know, Mother knew that.
The 5th Regiment, I think that's
Okay.
it.
Well, I don't know, where they were, I don't know. We were in the cricket ground there in Melbourne.
Oh, you didn't go down to Mount Martha, to Balcom.
We stayed in the cricket ground until, about 2 or 3 months we stayed there, and then we went out to Dandenong.
Oh, yes,
And
okay. Mhm.
We stayed there the rest of the time until they wanted to ship us back. We went from there to Good Enough Islands up in the New Guinea. And we stayed there and done a little practicing, one thing and another, and then we went to Cape Gloucester.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
We landed there December the 25th in 1943.
In December, you went there in December of 43.
Yeah, we landed there Christmas Day.
Of 43.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, where was Daddy at that time?
Cape Gloucester, that was,
Well, we were married in 43. Daddy was down there.
Have a seat right there.
yeah, okay.
That's for you.
Watch your
What's your name, Brian? You get your drink. On this side.
Okay. Well, I hear that you're, how are you?
Just fine, thank you.
I hear your brother is in Melbourne.
No, he was in Melbourne, but he died in '94.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
But his wife is still in Melbourne. She lives in, I don't know, they got quite a bit of money, you know. They was in furniture manufacturing business and one thing and another like that. And he went back over there after the war, and they got married, and they had 3 children, 3 boys, and 2 of them got doctor's degrees. Not a physician, you know. One of them was a big shot at Intel. Come back over here and work for Intel. At last, I think he's still up there, up in Oregon. And the other one got a doctor's degree. It was in education. He came over here. He got in the genealogy business and
Oh,
so
yes,
found out about got the blue blood in it. Y'all might not
Can I get you a
know
drink?
that.
Oh, I saw it.
It's your spot right there.
Okay.
There, get there.
Hey, you still got to put you in jail.
These 2 guys here keep all the criminals off the streets of Victoria.
Oh, they do.
Don't blame us when we're not.
Every day they go out and just sweep the streets, and they're safe to get out on every day.
Are you kept
They haven't done a
pretty busy?
good job though.
Yes, ma'am.
They always have something to do, right?
So,
They
speaking of
haven't done a
criminals on
good
streets of
job,
Victoria,
though.
did you find
Yeah,
your
they
guy
Yeah, they
yesterday?
put
No,
me in
I'm
jail.
still
Wait a minute. Dad, what are you talking about? The trailer?
Burger.
He can't, they brought the trailer back yet.
Cool.
I'm sorry. I thought you knew it. I
I put the fear of God in them. I went out there and I talked to the mother and I said, I want my trailer or my money today.
Yeah.
Oh, she said, I'll handle it.
Yeah, she did. She
Good
did.
deal.
Because
Great.
I was sitting in their office, and all of a sudden this Hispanic guy walks in. He's like, "Hey, I'm here to drop off a trailer." And I'm like, "Okay, who are you from?" He said, "The last name Burger." And I went, "Ding!" You know. Oh,
Yeah.
you just dropping it off? He said, "Yeah, I'm just dropping it off." And I said,
Cool.
"Okay, park it right there."
Good deal.
Yeah.
That'll work. That'll work.
I guess he hadn't learned his lesson yet.
Well, evidently, he's got a track record, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean, yeah, what you found on
Yeah,
it,
yeah, he was, you know,
all over the place.
been around the
How
block.
long did you
Oh, wow.
stay in the Marine?
Oh, did you know that, you know the
I
guy that
got out.
helps me out some, his name is Cowboy? You know he got a DWI the other day?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Matter of fact,
His wife was in that concealed carry class Saturday.
come back
Oh, really?
and,
Yeah, and she didn't say anything about it.
He's,
got after him.
he started,
A furlough.
he's always drank a little, but about a year ago, he started really getting it, you know? And, he got so bad that I wouldn't even work him
Norfolk,
anymore, because he
Virginia,
was,
that was
he'd get up and he'd start drinking in the mornings, you know?
Wow.
And I warned him.
They
I
was
said, you know, you're going down the road you ain't gonna like.
for a volunteer to go
So
in.
about a week ago,
And
he
that
called me and
would be
said,
going aboard a ship, you know.
Yes, yes,
And I volunteered for that, and I got it, but
Could
then
cost him his competition license.
they come down there one day and told me, said, well, you
yeah, he doesn't do that
go
anymore,
see
but
going
it's,
in with a communication warrant that was on discharge, you know. And so, they said, you're going to Camp Lejeune for further training. So we went down there and they finally shipped us out to San Diego, Camp Pendleton, California, to go back overseas. And that's where it was when the war ended.
Oh, yes.
And I got discharged from there. And I think it was September the 25th of 1945.
We spent time at Camp Pendleton also.
You did?
Yes, we did, about 9 months or so out there. And
How long has your husband been dead?
it'll be 4 years in October. 4 years in October. But I tell the children how we tried to manage on just the money that we were getting, that John was getting, you know, not going into savings or anything. And we'd walk from Camp Pendleton into the city, you know. And to have chicken was a treat, you know. And we bought an old car, or he did, an old car. And he had to replace the engine in it before we could drive home to Texas to see the family. So he found a man that would let him use a warehouse. And I can remember like it was yesterday helping him pull those chains to get that old engine out and get the other one in and everything. And we drove it home to Texas, and I kept a record of all the money that we spent. And we laughed because we spent more on oil than we did on food. But we made it. We made it, okay. Oh, memories.
I got out in 1945, the first job was streetcar motorman, conductor,
Where was that?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh my goodness.
But that didn't last long. They done away with, well, my brother, he was in the Navy, and he got out. He wanted me to go in the service station business with him, so that meant I had to quit the Birmingham Electric Company streetcar operator.
Tell me what you did in Melbourne.
We didn't do much of anything except,
You were there how long in Dandenong?
well, we were 9 months in Melbourne and in Australia.
Yes, John was too.
Yeah.
And what did you do for entertainment in Melbourne? You didn't do much, or you?
Well, we
Were you all were you healthy?
have what?
Were you well? Were you healthy?
Oh, yeah, I spent 2 days in the hospital and a kind of infection in my ear, but that was all. I was well, you know. When Liberty quite a bit. I met a little girl there that I thought I'd go back after the war, but then I said, well, no, that means I'm going to have to live there because she wouldn't want me to come to the States. And so I got thinking, I said, well, my mother's still living, my father and everything like that. I said, I've got too many family here, you know, to go back over there.
Oh, I see. You didn't want to go and live over
Well,
there.
the thing about it was my brother, he came over here every once in a while, and the matter of fact is he come back over here to live, but that didn't last but about 2 or 3 years, and they come to Houston, and it was so hot there, and that was about times the air conditioners come out, you know, and one thing and another like that, and it took a fortune to keep you cool and buy the air conditioners and all of that stuff, and he didn't have a whole lot of money. I guess his family did, his wife's family, and I guess they still have as far as that goes. But
What was Mavis's last name?
Cornell.
Cornell. Now
Well, do you think the summers were hotter there than they are here? You were in Dandenong during the summer months?
yeah, it wasn't as hot as it is here. I never did see any weather there. We spent the summer there, you know. We spent we got there in first part of last part of December, or January the 1st or something like that, you know. So we spent the whole, that was right in the middle of the summer, wasn't it, right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Dandenong, Johnny, is out from Frankston, about.
Yeah, we went there once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think you took us there.
And, you know, that's where we always used to go to compete in the horse shows and everything. And we'd have to ride and lead a couple of horses. Back in those days, you didn't float them just those short distances from Mount Eliza out to Dandenong, you know.
Now, I never heard that word. That's the first time you ever used that word, float.
Well, that's
That was the word for trailer and
horse
something?
float. No, horse float.
I mean, but it meant trailer, right?
Yes, yes.
It meant to trailer something.
Yes, yes.
I never heard that.
What was that, what was
A float.
Float is what she called it, horse float.
Yes.
Now tell us, I want to get it, I want to record it, I want you to tell the story about meeting Daddy at,
That's a long story.
at the,
Darby Lodge.
Darby Lodge. Yeah, you gotta listen to all this, Terry.
All right.
Maybe everybody won't want to listen to it.
Oh, yeah, it's an interesting story.
We had some friends of ours owned a place called Darby Lodge, which could be likened to a dude ranch here, where you play tennis and golf and you swam and the horses, the whole thing was there. And it was privately owned, and I was the manageress of this Darby Lodge. And there's Judy.
Go ahead.
Oh, they want me to tell the story.
Well, keep on.
And it was privately owned and a very elite place. Lots of wealthy people from the city of Melbourne, business people would come down every year and have their vacations. And our dining room was not open to the public. And the Marines had arrived at a camp 5 miles from where I was. And it was full of Australian soldiers at the time, but because the camp was so beautiful and in such a gorgeous location, they moved the Australian troops and brought the American Marines into this camp. And so they rented horses, did silly things, most of them, and they would come to Darver and tie the horses up at the veranda posts. Well, of course, that to me was just horrible. I couldn't stand it. So then they began asking if they could come and have dinner in the dining room. And first of all, we said no, and then we began to realise what they had done for Australia, so we said yes. So John was one of the ones that started to come, and then he wanted me to go out with him, and I didn't want to at all. And we had an elderly gentleman who used to come down every season and stay with us, Mr. Hickman. And Mr. Hickman would see John coming and he'd come to me and he'd say, well, here he comes, Miss Bishwick, here he comes. You know? So then he came with a big box of gladioli, you know, and was doing all these kind of things. So we finally said, yes, they could eat in the dining room. But it was 6 weeks before I said I would go out with him. So that's how we started dating, you know. But it was just really, really, I was so perfectly happy in my life. I didn't want any relationship or anything like that, you know. But in fact, Darver, of course, is still standing. It is now a sort of rest home for elderly people, but it was a beautiful place. We grew all our own flowers.
Wow.
I would do all the flowers on all the tables and in the living rooms and everything. We had a garden that we grew all our own flowers, so it was a beautiful place, really beautiful.
Well, if we ever drank any coffee, we had to go to the Red Cross up there.
Oh my God!
So you go down there, they bring you some hot water and a bottle. You had to pour your coffee out of a bottle.
Oh my! What was that? A liquid coffee?
Yeah,
or
it was
something?
liquid, yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of that before. Oh. So you didn't do much of entertainment in Melbourne, right?
We,
Did you go to the movies or the pictures?
well,
as
yeah,
we call
no,
them?
we went to movies and one thing and another like that. I remember seeing Bing Crosby, one of them there.
In White Christmas?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. We took my mother to see that.
Yeah.
That was showing at one of the beautiful theatres in
Yeah.
the city of Melbourne.
And that's where I saw that.
Oh my goodness me.
Well, one time we had a parade there in Melbourne, and I remember marching and thing, but I don't know now where a band came from. But we had a band.
It was probably your own band,
Yeah,
I think.
it was our own
Yes.
band, but we had a lot of them up Ballarat, I think.
Ballarat?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Marines, I don't know, you know, when you got a division of 18,000 people and one thing another like that, you got to scatter them out somewhere.
Well, you know, I finally was able to come over here on a troop ship, and the day that I arrived in Victoria, John arrived in San Diego, and he did not know that I was even on my way. So when he called his mother, she said, oh, there's somebody here wants to talk to you. So that's how that
You need to tell the story about, well, two parts. The part about getting married in Melbourne, I mean at Frankston, and then leaving to come over here in the trip over here, and then Daddy went back to Guadalcanal, right?
No, we were only together 2 weeks and Daddy left to go back overseas.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. Mhm.
But then your daddy was very upset.
Oh. But he got over it and told me when I left, be like the boomerang. Go back. You know, so. And John and I were able to go back. We made many trips back, so that was wonderful.
That brother of mine, he got married, and I have a lot of pictures about showing him and his wife, you know, when they got married, and tuxedos and gowns and
Oh,
things
yes,
like that.
yes.
High class.
Are we supposed to be thinking what we're
Yeah,
That's
right, right.
Does everybody know but me what they do?
We went to Melbourne.
That's
We
right.
landed on Guadalcanal on August the 7th, 1942, and we left Guadalcanal around the 1st of December, the last of December, or the 1st of January of 43 would be when we got to Melbourne. Well, it was in January of 43. And we stayed there for a certain length of time. We went out to Dandenong. I have all in my autobiography that about what all we did and one thing and another like that. Carlin's and his wife came over here to live, and then and his father-in-law come over here several times visiting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he liked to travel on these steams.
On the ships.
Ships, yeah. Just he didn't care as long as it were. They didn't have but 2 or 3 places for could hold about a half a dozen people to be about the most and ready to freight
Uh-huh.
ship.
Well, that Guadalcanal was really something,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Just so you'll get the lay of things, the Clegg house is on the corners, Vine and State. Okay?
Mhm.
That's where Mother traveled to. That was her destination,
Now,
to get to that house.
was that your family that had their car stolen by Clyde Barrow? Because
No.
there was a Model A stolen
No.
from right there at State and then
No,
Vine.
that wasn't us though. No.
Wow.
No, but see, grandmother, had she been notified you were coming, Mother?
Yes, because Uncle Frank met me in,
She's gonna take our orders.
Go ahead, Lee.
Got on his ship there. And my brother, he was with me. He was in the Marine Corps with me. And he had his clothes on. He could go out on the Liberty. And so he went out on the Liberty, and they caught a taxi and come back to the ship. And they kept calling my brother, "Hey, Bama," because he come from Alabama. You know. "Hey, Bama," this, that. The fellow that was driving the taxi finally asked him, said, "Are you not Carmen Shirley, are you?" He said, "Yeah." "Why?" He said, "Well, I thought I knew you." And he said, "I do now." Well, it was a fellow that we played marble with and all that stuff back when he was a kid. He wound up in San Francisco driving a taxi.
oh,
And he carried up to the Mark Hotel. I meant to Mark up in the hotel, top of the hotel there in San Francisco. Talk about high class, now we was.
oh, absolutely, yes.
Well, you see, my brother, them told this fellow's name was Dolphus Green, and
His name was what?
Dolphus Green. Last name is Green,
I
Gree.
don't know that name, Dolphus.
Well,
How
probably.
do you spell that?
It
Was
was
it
probably
probably-
a slang for something.
No, it was probably DOLPHUS.
Is that short for something?
Adolphus.
Dolphus, no.
Put an A in front of Adolphus maybe.
Oh, okay, okay.
But later on, he went by his real name. Let's see what,
Were you raised in Alabama?
I was born in Waxahachie. And we went to Alabama when I was about 5 years old.
Birmingham.
We went back there because my mother and father were from there, see. What was doing in Waxahachie, I don't know.
Nobody ever told you.
I think my father had some kinfolks there, but I didn't know him. And never. But
Well, how did you end up in Victoria?
Patricia, his spot.
Yeah.
Terry's here now and Patricia's with Terry.
Oh, so that's how we ended up in, oh, okay.
I tell you, I was in Alabama, but I come to Texas in 1947 due to the fact that I had a brother that came out here in 45 in Houston, and we lived,
Or send it to me.
and I come out here in 1947, my brother was working for the railroad, and so I thought, he was always telling us, you know, when I talked to him over the phone or something like that, which is very seldom because it's so expensive to call. But Houston was a beaming place, you know, it
Growing pretty fast.
yeah, it was a growing place, and anybody wanted a job, they could get one there. And so I finally wound up on the railroad too. I worked there 31 years.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I retired, but you see, I had a son and four daughters, and Pat was one of those. And she went to University of Houston there, and studying to be so she finally wound up as a deputy sheriff up there, and he was a deputy too, and that's where they met, and they finally got married.
Oh, yes, okay. Well, you know, I was in CBS in Cuernavaca one day last week, and I'm always very interested in insignias on people's uniforms or anything like that, you know. And this lady came in, and oh, she looked so in command of her surroundings and the way she was walking and handling herself and everything, you know. And she had on sort of like a uniform, navy blue slacks and the shirt and that, you know, and the insignia on her arm and that sort of thing. And oh, she just intrigued me. And when she got closer, I noticed that the patch said qualified license EMS. And I thought, uh-oh, you just look like somebody who could be in command of a
handle the
situation. You know, she really did.
Yes, they did, of course, you know, you couldn't get them all on one ship. But anyway, we went to Brisbane, and we had some people to get off there and start looking around and finding out where we was going to go, and they come back on the ship and said, we're not going here. Said there's more mosquitoes here than there was on the Guadalcanal. So
Oh my God.
we didn't even, none of us even got off the ship because we didn't have no Liberty clothes or anything like that. So we all stayed on the ship, and I don't know how many ships went there or not. But I don't know that they'd even have a battalion on one ship, you know. There's about over 1,000 people in one battalion, I guess.
Well, I can't remember now what year it was. I wish I could, but I can't. But John and I and our daughter and her husband and their little girl, we went back to Guadalcanal
You did.
and right to the area where you all landed. Yes. That was really quite an experience.
Well, the fellow that lived in back of us there, he told me that he'd been on Guadalcanal several times. I guess when you got lots of money, you travel, you know. And so, he said he'd been to Henderson Field up there several times. And I talked to a lady there the other day, she called me and wanted to talk to me.
Shannon, did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I didn't read that.
What was that?
German submarine that Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There was
Back
one
in
that
the
was
war.
caught in the Sabine, wasn't it?
In the Sabine, one in Trinity. They were actually going up in the rivers, in the Trinity and the Sabine, and they would hide in there, and then when the ships would come out of the refineries, they'd go out in the Gulf and sink them, and then they'd disappear back up in the rivers again.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah,
Well, Texas was used so much as a staging and training area that they were trying to stop that.
well, the big deal was the petroleum. You know, all of the petroleum that was just refined for the war machine, most of the tankers were coming out of the Gulf of Mexico.
Sure.
And if you look at, I saw a chart once that showed all the ships that were sunk during World War II. It was like a third of them were Gulf tankers. In fact, I know a guy, his uncle was a merchant marine sailor, and he had 3 tankers sunk out from under him. And, you know, usually the guys on tankers didn't usually survive. That guy was a little fortunate.
The thing is,
Especially 3 times.
Yeah, and he survived.
He didn't survive once, he survived 2 other times.
Yeah, he survived the whole war.
Wow.
the thing is, you don't hear about
Well,
it.
you know, Johnny, I was saying to Bill
And you-
recently, we
The,
sort of forget about
they had that
Uncle
major
Austin.
port that's down
And
near
Uncle
San
Austin
Jacinto.
had 2
What-
ships
what's the
bombed
name of-
out
What's that?
under him.
No,
When he
the
was in
port
the Navy.
where Morgan's Point, where
We
they
think
ship
about
all
the
that
Frank
stuff
right
out.
out was Al and Daddy, 4 living, right? Yeah. Then it's 4
So it's Austin, Edward, Frank, John, and Roselle.
No, excuse me, there was 6 kids.
6.
5 boys
Yes,
and 1 girl.
5 boys and 1 girl.
Wow.
Lillian was the little girl's name.
She died when she was like 6, right?
Pardon?
Wasn't she like 6 when she died?
She was 6, Dawn, yes.
Next time you're on Vine Street, in the Clegg house is on the corner of Vine and State, and the O'Connor house, which I guess Louise O'Connor owns now, which is that white stucco looking house.
Right.
That would be on the corner of Vine and, what's that street? Power. That's right,
Right,
Vine and Power.
right.
Look at those lots sometime, and you'll see that the O'Connor lot is bigger than the Clegg lot, okay? But it didn't used to be that way. And my daddy told a story that in the Depression, everybody was just completely out of money. But Mr. O'Connor had money. And he bought from my grandfather, he said, I'll buy a little bit of your land right here. I want my lot to be bigger. And he sold him a strip of land like 20 or 30 feet wide.
Wow,
And according to Daddy, that money is what got them through the Depression.
wow.
Was she working for, her grandfather was working for Gross Worden at the time?
Well, he was one of the founders of Gross Worden. Yeah.
It was called Gross Parish back
And
then.
it was Gross Worden.
Oh.
Now it's
No, Performance Food.
Performance Food Group.
Wow.
He was our accountant,
And the first building,
was priority.
no, it wasn't. Where Golden Electric is.
Oh, really?
That was the
Right.
first one.
On William Street.
That was the first Gross Parish warehouse.
But then the one that the building you've got now, that was,
That was the one of them also.
that had rails, that was a
They
rail.
owned it, they owned that one at one time, and then they ended up on Bronson Street, which is where they are now.
That was called Schumacher. Power Avenue was actually called Schumacher.
Well, it was,
When it started.
and then they bought it from Schumacher, right? Yeah.
Well, to get away from the heat in Victoria, John's family went to Port O'Connor every summer for about 3 months. And they had a house down there, you know, and they would,
Was it really cooler there?
well, he said it used to be.
Maybe it was the breeze, the hot breeze made them think it was
Three or
good.
four
They
degrees
said it
probably
used
made
to
a
be.
difference, you know?
Whenever you didn't even have AC.
Yeah, just get on the train and go west. Eventually, you'll stop feeling the heat.
Well, Judy and Johnny took me to Port O'Connor a couple of weeks ago, and the homes down there are beautiful. There's so many just really nice looking homes down there. Just, I was impressed with some of them.
Historically, I think it must build up about every 100 years and
Yes.
get really fancy, and then a hurricane wipes it out. And
Yes.
And they start over again. So if you want one, lay back and
It's
wait
always
for the
better
next
to work
hurricane.
down.
Think about
No.
it. So-
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been through Galveston lately, but you know, Galveston had gotten to where it's kind of looking seedy. Well, man, that hurricane that came through,
Cleaned
it
it
cleaned it all out, and it is gorgeous now. It looks like a resort town.
Really?
It kind of did the same thing that happened to Padre. You know, Padre.
They had there, they didn't tell me anything about
Well, it
what.
probably wasn't Lipton.
Were you there, around Guadalcanal when the Japanese bombed all the supply ships?
Oh, yes, that's why they were
Just
left
got off
without
of-
any supplies.
Huh? Well, I know my daddy was telling me about that, and he said that if it hadn't have been for the rice that the Japs left behind, they would have starved.
Uh-huh,
Yeah,
they would
they,
have.
I tells about that in the old breed. Did y'all have one of them? The old breed?
Yeah, I get that, yes. The little magazine, you mean?
No, it's a book
Oh, yes,
about
yes,
300-400 pages.
yes, mm-hmm.
That goes all the way from Guadalcanal through, what was it?
Iwo Jima.
Okinawa?
Okinawa.
Uh-huh.
4 campaigns. Of course, I wasn't on Okinawa, my brother was.
Uh-huh.
He Guadalcanal and Cape Gloucester, and he come home, I had to stay. Then he went back to the same company he was in after Cape Gloucester, and he went to Okinawa.
Well, you know, I often think, were we compassionate enough with Daddy? But he never talked about it very much.
He really didn't start talking about it till the later years. He
No.
never said anything to us about it.
There's a book
You know,
by a guy by the name of David Grossman. It's called On Killing and On Combat. There's 2 different books. And he talks about the World War II veterans and the effect and their methods of coping on it, which was different than a lot of other generations. Because, you know, my dad was in European theater. And Mom always said that, you know, they got married. I think he was home after the battle, or after the Bulge, the armistice in Europe. Came home, and he was home about 2 months, and they got married. And she said every night for the first 6 months, he would have a nightmare, night sweats, and get up and go to work the next day. And she said they got less frequent, and after about a year, he just wasn't having them anymore. But then in the last years of his life, they started coming back.
really?
Mhm.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I think a lot of them that I met just didn't talk about the combat.
No.
Wouldn't do it. And they'd talk about, like he does, the funny stuff that happened, and they just didn't talk about those pieces.
Well, he did talk about that, losing all their supplies.
Yes.
Yeah, he told us about, he said that they were landing and turned around and looked, and the ships were leaving because they were sinking, and the supplies.
Yeah, they never got unloaded.
No.
They never
Right.
got unloaded.
Well, they did get sunk, didn't they? I mean, most of the ships didn't.
They didn't
make
got
any
their
money.
supplies
Right.
until later. Daddy said they had to eat rice
Yeah.
that they got from the Japs.
Yes.
And Japanese fuel for the, for the equipment.
Oh, it could be, because he said that the Japs took off.
Well, I think John's saving grace was being so active in the VFW in Port Lavaca. He was one of the founders of the post in Port Lavaca when we moved there in he was there first in 51 and then we moved in 52. And I think that he was with so many others that had been through, not necessarily on Guadalcanal, but a lot of other things. And I think that's what he got a lot out of being so active in the VFW, really. But, that beautiful ship, the Canberra, was bombed and sank. The Australian Canberra was bombed and sank at Guadalcanal.
They lost another cruiser there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did
I
they?
wasn't there.
Yeah.
Back on.
Oh, I don't remember
They
that.
lost 2 cruisers the same night.
Oh, my. Isn't that awful when you think about that?
Was that the Australians lost 2 or?
Australian lost 2. The Canberra and what?
At that time, Australia didn't have a much larger population than Texas of today, right?
No, not like it is today. No.
Whenever you think about it, what Australia was able to produce and build, and the men that she sent to war.
Al Core is still going strong there because I recently read that they're putting in a new plant out of Melbourne, so they've still got a lot of holdings there.
I've been reading where gold mining is just booming in Australia right now.
It is.
And it's having the same effect that like the Eagle Ford's doing in Texas.
Absolutely.
The economy is just crazy.
Is that somewhere around Ballarat, or where is that at?
No, now it's around Ballarat, but it's also in Tasmania. That's the little country south of Australia. And Christian, Robert and Rosalind's son, this is a member of our family, has a lot of education in that field. And he is really from out of Melbourne, but presently he's with a mining company in Tasmania. And he's 8 days on down there and 6 days home out of where he lives out of Melbourne. And his dad called me. I tried to get a message to you all that Robert had called and sent his love, but I didn't get to talk to you all. And his dad called me just a few days ago. And I said, well, what about Christian? And he said, he's home right now. And I said, well, how much longer will he be in Tasmania? And he said, about 12 months. And I said, oh, Robert, I bet that'll be a wonderful promotion for him after that. And he said, what do you mean? He got a $30,000 raise just recently. So,
Gold is good, huh?
must be a good company that he's with. But he's very well educated, and I guess that's what.
Well, he's a gemologist. He actually has a degree.
Yes, and a lovely man, so I guess they're happy to have him, really.
What I read about one of the areas where they're mining gold is there's no infrastructure. There's no railroad. There's very little pavement to get into the area.
Really?
So they're using these long, it's like a tractor that pulls, a whole bunch of trailers, like maybe 6 of them at a time. And they're just pulling out across this track.
Across the country,
Yeah.
Oh,
It's an off-road deal, yeah.
All of the heavy stuff that goes in for the mining is having to be hauled in that way.
Well, you and Johnny went to Tasmania, didn't you? Did you go to Strawn? That's down in the southern part of Tasmania. That's where he
I don't
is.
think so. I don't think we went that far south.
Yeah, so it's really.
So I did.
Well, did you have to hike back to her house, or was it
Walk.
it was a trip though, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't far. It was in Birmingham. It wasn't, we walked to town lots of times. I don't remember.
In your biography, you talk about having to walk home to get your mom to sign the card, and then turn around and walk
Well,
back.
I don't remember saying walk.
You might have hitchhiked.
Oh, I don't remember.
Bring you good luck, pick it up.